I'm Adeola Babatunde. Welcome to another edition of Pathway to Success. Today I'll be talking about the strategies for life success. Do you believe that there's a set of strategies that you can follow through to achieve whatever you want in life? It's just like a formula. In this lecture, I will explain the 3 simple strategies. Number 1, determine what you really want to achieve in life. This is the fundamental step in achieving what you want. You must first find out your destination before you make the move. Number 2, craft a plan on how you can make your dreams and your goals come true. You must develop your life plan, which consists of your goals and your action strategies of what you should do so that you will achieve your goals. Most people know what they want, but they never clearly really have a clear plan on how they can achieve it. If you want to be successful, you must start from managing and planning for your future. Number 3, take consistent action that will get you to where you want to be. Most people are just blowing hot air. They talk about what they want, but they never really put them into action and actually make their dreams come true. This is the biggest difference between a successful person and a person who is struggling. Successful people are committed to their dreams and their goals. They are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that which they are set out to achieve in life. Let us consider this together. Let's say I had planned to go and get bagel in the shop, to check my emails when I get back, and to work on my project proposal. Just about the time I was about to leave the house, let's say the phone started ringing and I picked it up. It happened to be a childhood friend going through a situation. I was on the phone with him for a long time, and after our conversation, I realized that time had gone and there was no time for me to do all which I've planned to do. So, I decided to leave everything till the following day. What do you call that? Procrastination. This happens to people all the time. What you are supposed to do today, you want to leave it to tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you want to leave it the day after tomorrow. This story happens to many people every day with different results. Some people have reasons and excuses why others are unreasonable with themselves and others. Have you asked yourself this question? How is it that some people succeed when others are left behind figuring it out? Those people who are left behind lack the ability to move past their own excuses. In every situation, there are choices that can be made to further what you are up to in any area of life. When you are focused and have a plan, there are no excuses or reasons that will keep you from achieving that which you are set out to achieve. A person who has no focus or plan is prone to excusing themselves and others for what has or has not happened. No focus and plan equals excuses and reasons. Think about all this. If you are listening to this lecture, you are looking for ways to build an unreasonable life. Any person living an unreasonable life finds ways to make things happen regardless of the situation or circumstances they find themselves. The excuses that would have been used is no longer there. So, they decided to make it unreasonable, that is, doing it afraid. Regardless of the circumstances or the situation they find themselves, they've decided that they have to do it anyway. Are you somebody like that? The most successful people in your company, neighborhood, city, state, country, and in the world are unreasonable with themselves and others. And that is how they have become successful. I'll give you 5 ways by which you can build yourself towards this unreasonable life. Number 1, recognize when fear is present. Without recognition, the fear continues to keep you complacent and paralyzed. Recognition is the first action to take in building success. Number 2, distinguish what you are afraid of. When fear is present, it's a response to something we are resisting. Are you resisting being embarrassed, made fun of, looking like you are not smart, or something else? Number 3, Affirm yourself. Create a statement that represents who you see yourself being in the situation or what you want from it. Number 4, act in the face of the fear. Now that you've created an affirming statement for yourself, proceed to take action. So just learn to do it afraid. Take that same mindset and apply it to whatever you do in life. You can have fear and still accomplish your goal. One good thing is that once you've accomplished it, you've learned so much, and that confidence would have been built. You will have the ability to continue. Number 5, expand your thoughts. Expanded thought is a result of taking the actions consistent with what you want to have. When you take the action in the face of fear, you expand your thoughts about yourself and your abilities, others, and how they perceive you, and what is possible in your life. Expansion is growth. Think about all this. What are you willing to do to get what you really want in life? It's a great question, and it seems like the answer should be really pretty simple, but it isn't. In fact, the best way to start figuring out what you're willing to do is by finding out that which you're not ready to do. When we are faced with problems, or probably we're in pains, we tend to say we are ready to do anything, and by anything I mean anything that will make the pain go away. But when the pain is no longer there, we'll now change the tune from we're ready to do anything to something else. What exactly are you ready to do for that pain which you're facing to go away? In order to have the life of your dream, would you be ready to move house? Will you be ready to quit your job? Will you be ready to get new friends? Will you be ready to sell your house? Will you be ready to invest your savings? Will you be ready to eat differently or change how you spend your spare time? So many people say yes, they can do this, they can do that. But in reality, we are not ready to do most of these things. Just by going through these few possibilities, you probably realize that there are things in your life that you really don't want to change. But what if you knew that to have what you really want, that was exactly what you had to do? Would you do it? How about this question? Is the thing you don't want to change bringing you happiness now? If it is, why would you want to change it? If it isn't, why wouldn't you want to do it? It's like that analogy of cats and dogs. Our wants in life are insatiable. You have a dog, but you prefer a cat. When you have a cat, you want a dog. For you to be able to have a dog and have a cat, you have to work towards having both at once. We want everything good for ourselves, but how do we go around having those things? Do you know for you to be able to have the dog, you may have to get rid of the cat? And for you to be able to have the cat, you may have to get rid of the dog. I'm not saying you should kill the dog or kill the cat. I'm saying you do away with one. But are we ready to do that? Most people are not ready to do this. You are not ready to leave your comfort zone to be able to achieve that which you want in life. I would like to give you an example of this. Once upon a time, there was a woman called Buki. Even though she didn't have a sweet relationship with her husband, the last thing she wanted to do was end the relationship. She was in agony, but she turned herself inside out, trying to make things work, pretending that if she just tried harder, somehow that cat was going to turn miraculously to a dog, and she would be happy. It's an analogy. She was absolutely willing to do anything to be happy, anything to make that soul-searing pain go away, as long as it would involve turning the cat into a dog. She was willing to do anything to stop her pain, anything except leave the situation that was causing the problem. Can you imagine that? You know what's causing your problem, but for you to be able to get rid of that which is causing your problem, you are not ready to do it. How then can you change your life? How then can you change your situation? How then can you change that which is happening to you? You know your problem. What you should be thinking of is the solution. Get rid of that which is causing you problems so that you'll be able to enjoy your life. But most people are not ready to do it. Think of a situation right now that's causing you pain or confusion and ask yourself these two questions. Number one, what are you willing to do to get out of the pain? Number two, what are you not ready to do? I would like to share another story with you. A frog was sitting on the banks of a river. A scorpion soon came by and requested that the frog should ferry him across the river. The frog then inquired how he was supposed to do this. Then the scorpion said that he will jump onto his back and then the frog can swim across the river. The frog thought for a while and he was not too happy with the thought. He asked the scorpion, "What if you sting me during the process?" The scorpion laughed and said that he was not going to do that because if I sting you, which means both of us will perish inside the river. Quite convinced with the scorpion's words, the frog decided to ferry him across the river. As they reached the middle of the river, the frog had a sharp pain and realized to the utter consternation that the scorpion had stung him. Puzzled and bemused by this behavior, the frog asked the scorpion, "Why did you do that when you promised that you're not going to do it?" The scorpion then strained his voice. "I'm sorry. I have no control over my character. It's my habit to strike wherever I see, and to me you are just a target. I could not resist stinging you." The frog then retorted, "See now what you've done. Because of your inability to control your instincts, you have put my life also at peril. We are both going to perish now." After saying this, both the frog and the scorpion drowned in the river. What is the moral of this story? It can be very difficult to change your attitude and character. It's your thoughts which becomes your deed, and your deeds becomes your habits, and your habits shape your character. So, always remember to gravitate towards your positive thoughts, and feelings for it will greatly help you in shaping your character. What exactly is that thing that you need to change for you to be able to achieve that which you want to achieve? You must be ready to part with that thing. I know it may be difficult, but you have to work around it. That thing is causing you pain, but you are still living with it. For you to be able to enjoy that which you are set out to achieve, you have to use a strategy. Think about that which you can do, which will replace that which is giving you pain. And that way, you'll be able to get rid of that which is giving you pain. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to leave your comfort zone and go into the world unknown? That is exactly what successful people do. I would like to share another story with you. A jobless man applied for the position of office boy at a very big firm. The human resources manager interviewed him and then gave him a test. "Clean the floor. You are hired," he said. The human resources manager asked him for his email address. This young boy replied, "I don't have an email." "I'm sorry," said the human resources manager. "If you don't have an email, then how do you intend to do this job? This job requires you to have an email address. Do you know how to use the internet?" The young boy said no. The human resources manager was so angry. He asked this man to leave his office. There's no way you can be an office boy if you don't have an email address and don't know how to use the internet. This boy looked at himself. He dipped his hand into his pocket and he came out with 10 pounds. 10 pounds. So what's he going to do with 10 pounds? He didn't know what to do next. He had hoped that he was going to get this job, and this job would have helped him. He then decided to go to the supermarket and buy a 10 kg tomato crate. This boy sold the tomatoes in a door-to-door round. In less than 2 hours, he succeeded in doubling his capital. He repeated the same operation 3 times and he returned home with 60 pounds. This man realized that he could do this to survive. The following day, he woke up early in the morning and did the same thing. Then it became a regular routine. He would wake up in the morning, he would go there, buy tomatoes and go round and round selling. In no time, he was able to make much more money. He was able to buy a van, then he bought a truck, and then he had fleet of delivery vehicles. Few years later, he became one of the biggest retailers in his community. Then he thought to himself, it's best for him to have a life insurance. So he went to an insurance broker and he chose a protection plan. When the conversation was concluded, the broker asked him for his email so that he could send him copies of the insurance policy. This man replied, "I don't have an email." You don't have an email, and yet you've succeeded to build an empire. Imagine what you would have been if you've had an email. The broker asked jokingly. This young man looked at him and smiled. Well, maybe an office boy. And the broker asked him, why did you say office boy? So this young man decided to tell the broker what led him into the business he's doing. He told him how he went for that job interview and he was refused that job because he didn't know how to use the internet. He didn't have an email address. What is the moral of this story? You can turn your weakness to something that will help you in life. The fact that you don't know how to use the internet doesn't mean you cannot still do something good with your life. Some people haven't been rejected or being condemned that they can't do something. They will leave everything. They will think they are a failure. Look at what happened to this man. This man left the office with £10 and he thought to himself, what am I going to do with my life? How can I change everything around? This man decided to take a bold step. He committed the £10 into something which was able to turn him to a rich man. You can do the same thing. I would like to share another story with you. This is the story of a 10-year-old boy who decided to study judo despite the fact that he had lost his left arm in a devastating car accident. The boy began lessons with an old Japanese judo master. The boy was doing well, so he couldn't understand why after 3 months of training, the master had taught him only one move. Trainer, the boy finally said, shouldn't I be learning more moves? This is the only move you know, but this is the only move you will ever need to know, the trainer replied. Not quite understanding, but believing in his trainer, the boy kept on training. Several months later, the trainer took the boy to his first tournament. Surprising himself, the boy easily won his first 2 matches. The third match proved to be more difficult, but after some time, his opponent became impatient and charged. The boy deftly used his one move to win the match. Still amazed by his success, the boy was now in the finals. This time, his opponent was bigger, stronger, and much more experienced than him. For a while, the boy appeared to be overmatched. Concerned that the boy might get hurt, the referee called a timeout. He was about to stop the match when the trainer intervened. No, the trainer insisted, let him continue. Soon after the match resumed, his opponent made a critical mistake. He dropped his guard. Instantly, the boy used his move to pin him. The boy had won the match and the tournament. He was declared the champion. On the way home, the boy and the trainer revealed every move in each and every match. Then the boy summoned the courage to ask him what he had wanted to ask him. Trainer, how did I win the tournament with only one move? You won for 2 reasons. The trainer answered, first, you've almost mastered one of the most difficult moves in all of judo. And secondly, the only known defense for that move is for your opponent to grab your left arm. What is the moral of this story? This boy's weakness was turned to his biggest strength. The judo master was able to discover this boy's weakness, that is, he had one arm, and he taught him the strategy which will help him to be able to maneuver things with his one arm. And this boy in return was able to use that strategy to become a champion. You have it in you as well. What is that thing that you think is your weakness? You can turn it around if you have the right strategy. You can change it around to your advantage. I would like to share another story with you. Once upon a time, there was a water bearer who had 2 large pots, each hung on each end of a pole which he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, and while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream to the master's house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years this went on daily, and the bearer delivering only 1.5 pot full of water in his master's house. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end for which it was made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it was only able to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what the cracked pot perceived to be a bitter failure, the pot spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream. "I'm ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you." The bearer looked at the pot and said, "Why? Why are you ashamed of yourself?" The pot said, "I've not been able to help you. I've been delivering half full all the time for good 2 years." Then the bearer looked at this pot and said, "I want you to do something for me as we go back to my master's house. Tell me what you see on your part of the road." On the way home, the cracked pot looked at its part, and what the cracked pot saw were beautiful flowers. When they got home, the bearer now asked the cracked pot, "Tell me what you saw on your part of the way when we were coming home." And the cracked pot said, "I only saw beautiful flowers and I don't know how they got there." The bearer now told the cracked pot, "You are the one that did it." And the cracked pot said, "How?" The bearer now said, "I saw your flaw, that you leak water all the time. I decided to act upon it. I strategized by planting flowers on your part of the way, and you've watered these flowers for 2 years. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to have lovely flowers for my master's garden." What am I talking about? Don't look out for flaws in people's lives. You can turn their flaw or flaws to your advantage. That is a very strong strategy. The key word of the strategy for success is this: deadline. You must have a deadline for everything you're doing. One thing is for you to have a goal. You know what you want to do. You have the master plan. But if you don't have a deadline, you won't be able to accomplish your mission on time. If you have a dream and you want to do something, you must have a deadline for that which you want to do. And that is the only way you will know if you've been able to achieve that which you had set out to achieve. I would like to share with you strategies for life success. When your mind is pressured to produce fruitful results within a limited amount of time, your body reacts by taking a set course of action to achieve it and beat the given timeline. If you don't have a deadline, you'll be easily sidetracked and eventually lose focus. But because of the deadline, you need to do things and you need to do them now. That is a strategy for life success. So how do you create a deadline and devise your game plan? The strategy for success is to think of a concrete goal, then you come up with a plan on how to achieve this goal. Set a deadline for yourself, and that way you'll be able to achieve all which you've set out to achieve. You can't do this without having a blueprint. Oh yes, deadline has got a blueprint. Number 1, think of a concrete goal. 2, set a deadline. 3, devise your strategy for success. 4, record your experiences and monitor your progress. This will let you know your status, letting your mind adapt to the conditions in case your strategy for success might need alteration. Keep yourself from getting sidetracked by constantly reminding yourself of your goals. Remember that each little thing you do right now will matter, and it will take you closer to achieving your goal. I would like to know if this lecture has been of any impact to you. Please send your mail to info@daviddanielsconsultancy.com. You can get this material and all other materials of Pathway to Success by visiting www.daviddanielsconsultancy.com. Thank you.